In the 1940s, the world was too busy murdering each other to do much of anything else. But then in the 1950s, the world could finally get back to one of its favorite hobbies: sexism. You see, the men of the 1950s were dealing with a brand new problem. What do I do with all these broads in my factory? That's so bad. What do I do with all the women that are working in my factory? All the men are dead and now I gotta work with these broads? How do women work? Do they need breaks? Can they function the same way as men? Can their tiny little brains learn to operate this complex machinery on the factory line? What do I do with these broads? Well, the US government was listening. Today we're going to watch an educational video made by the US government itself on how men can manage women in the workplace. And it's horrible, and it's amazing, and horrible. We start with a beautiful opening shot of the most pollution you've ever seen in a factory. Ah, yes, the beauties of industry. Look at all that smog. That smog right there is progress, Timmy. For every piece of plastic we burn, I make slightly more money.
Joe Haley, there's one thing I'll say for you. You've done a good job. You know how to handle men, and you know how to keep the line moving.
I mean, that probably just means that this man literally never gives breaks, right? I like a man who prioritizes keeping the line moving. Work 'em to the bone. Work 'em until they got little nubs for fingers. They don't need to have dexterity in their hands. They need to make more cars.
Yes, women workers do present problems, Joe.
Well, I know most of the answers as far as the men are concerned.
Well, I think we can say that the broad principles involved in the supervision of men apply equally well in the case of women.
That ain't what I learned about women.
Well, I think you'll find that women are kind of like men, right, Joe? He's like, well, no. You think these women are like the men?
There are some new and different problems, Joe. I'll admit that.
Women scare me. At least, they do in a factory.
You see, they're not naturally familiar with mechanical principles nor machines.
Joe, you know, women in places they don't belong scare me too. They should know their place, am I right? Women don't belong in a factory. They belong somewhere more like a kitchen, like next to the cradle of an infant crying child. You see, Joe, women just weren't built for STEM.
It's a totally unfamiliar world. Why, even the language applying to common processes and tools are new to them.
Now, if anybody wants a flam span, give with a double left-handed jerry wrench on account of it might subbobulate the orange crepe with the torpid. On the other hand, if a span flam is wanted, that's single right-handed, providing the pressing puncture is adjusted to the conch front of 37 and 2/8. Is that clear?
No! Yeah, see, you just subbobulate the flam bam and then move the context lower unit that moves the montabulous flow wrench. You need to spam flam the subbobulated operatorial electrical flow that moves up and releases pressure in the gangar. Then you take your noobs and you just turn them approximately until the quib clob is moved tightly into the flim flam. Once that's done, you can just push the button and go. Am I clear? Look at them staring at that man with their dumb-looking goggles. They have no idea what a spam flam is. They have no idea how to flabobulate the double left-handed torque wrench. These dumbass women don't even know how to spam flam the subbobulated torpid. How am I supposed to work with these people when they don't know how to subbobulate the torpid?
I know, Joe. It takes time to make them feel at home, but it can be done.
You talk like a man who knows women.
You know, women workers can be surprisingly good producers, and it helps a lot to get them off to a good start.
And the key word there, Joe, is the word surprising, because you would think that without the knowledge of the subbam flam, that women would be utterly useless in my factory. Women can be surprisingly good workers. You wouldn't think it. You'd look at them and say, man, they'll never subbobulate a spam flam in their life. But you know what, with the right training and guidance and management from a male, they too can learn to spam flam the subbobulus just like the men.
When breaking in any new worker, and of course especially a woman, you've got to explain every angle of the process down to the last detail.
Men, you can probably just brush them over, but they'll understand soon enough. With women, and especially women, you need to go over every dumb detail so their tiny little brain can get it in, because they will not put 2 and 2 together unless you force them to put 2 and 2 together. Frankly, women aren't capable of learning on their own. You, as the man, need to teach them every single detail. If you don't give them every good detail, they'll never be a good worker, Joe. The results on your factory could be devastating.
Since most of them lack mechanical background, you've got to study every job and subdivide it into simple operating steps.
You need to take every job and break it down very simply. Very simply. Move your hand, grab the lever by pulling your fingers together and turning. And that's how you pull a lever. Do you got it? Was that simple enough for you? It's so demeaning.
It's a good idea not to use trade terms, except of course where we must, and then explain in plain language exactly what such terms mean.
You see, we're just really gonna have to dumb down, Joe. Frankly, the women won't get it otherwise. Susie, this is a grabby grab. If you move it open like this, and then you close it, it can do a grab. This one is a more pointier grabby grab. And this one is a big grabby grab. You see? Big grab. And then lastly, we got the twisty twist. Any questions, Susie? Susie, we'll get orange slices and juice boxes later after you've learned how to use the twisty twist.
Women workers don't mind routine, repetitive work, and they're particularly good on work that requires high finger dexterity.
Repetitive, boring jobs? Women don't mind them. They're basically mules, which is great for the men, because now the men can do the more complex tasks, while the women do the monotonous ones.
What's old stuff to you and me is brand new to them.
And I was just thinking what a dub I'd be doing something that's old stuff to my wife, but new to me. Well, like baking a pie.
You get it? Because that's what women do. Man, as a complex and highly mechanical man, I'd have no idea how to bake one of those pies. But my wife, who doesn't care about monotonous tasks and is good with little finger dexterity. Women are just so good in the kitchen.
You know, I had 7 requests for time off today. Well, I guess women don't realize what it means to stick on the job.
Maybe they don't.
I got all these problems with these women who are just asking for time off because they want to support their families. I guess they just don't know what it means to stick on the job and produce a couple of extra cars. Man, you know, I really thought he was going in for a fat, sloppy 1950s, waited till marriage and now he's married so the gates are wide open smooch. They definitely didn't actually kiss because since this was recorded in the 50s and these are actors, they definitely weren't married. They can't kiss. God would be mad. They're not married.
Morning, Mr. Brooks.
How go the ladies?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was just jotting down a few points on that very subject from this manual of yours here.
The lady manual. Hey, Joe. How go the ladies? Are they making me a ton of cars? I hope with my training manual, they've made me an absolute boatload of cars.
This all boils down to 4 things to remember. 1, don't mix pleasure with business. 2, women can be awfully jealous of each other. 3, avoid undue familiarity. And finally, women are more sensitive than men.
I'll say they're sensitive.
You see, us men have learned to bury our emotions, but those women are always being so sensitive. Oh, did you get yelled at work by your boss? Oh, sad.
Mary, you're supposed to wear a cap when working near a drill press.
Well, why pick on me? The other girls aren't wearing their caps.
Look, the rule book says wear a safety cap.
There. You see what I mean? They give you an argument. And a crazy one at that.
Yes, A man probably would have kept the argument about himself and not trapped the foreman the way she did.
A man would have been far more logical in this spice, but you just can't expect a woman to have logic. The women are always making you the bad guy by being so illogical.
Now, if she had been a man, he wouldn't have laid down a safety rule so arbitrarily. You know, Joe, you've got to tell them the why of every rule, particularly women.
You see, the men take the safety rules seriously, but the women, they just don't understand. That's a recurring theme we're noticing here. The women just don't understand how to turn the levers, what to call the tools, how to make a logical argument, how to be safe. You see, if it was a man, there wouldn't be any issues.
Now, suppose he had handled it in this way.
Mary, your hair was just about 2 inches away from the spill chuck. And that's why we asked you to wear a cap so that your hair don't get caught.
Oh, gee,
You see, rules are here to protect you and the other girls working around you.
I saw some of the other girls, and they weren't wearing any caps.
Right, but they're not working with machines. They just sit at a bench and assemble things. Nothing dangerous to them or the people nearby.
You know, I never thought of it that way before.
You have your cap with you, haven't you?
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Maui, your hair was almost caught in the big twist. That could have been really bad for your head. You have your cap with you, right? Okay, good. We could put that on and then make sure that that we can be safe, okay? It's meant to protect you. Do you get it now? Okay, I get it. Crazy. It's insane. Make it really simple for them. So that way they know that the hair can't go in the twist.
A foreman will always have the eternal feminine to contend with, Joe. Jealousy can cause you no end of trouble. Now, avoid spending any more time with one than with another. Ooh, treat them all the same, pleasantly and friendly, but with no favoritism, and above all, avoid undue familiarity.
And remember, Joe, while women are only for cleaning the house and having sex, we can't do that at work, Joe. And if you even hint at it, the other women will get jealous. It's not like he's like, they might not want your unwanted sexual attention. If you can't do it to all of them, you shouldn't do it to any of them. We can't afford to have jealous women in the workplace like that, Joe. Remember, the first and foremost problem with being a male boss and hitting on your female counterparts is that the other woman will get jealous. Not that it's unwanted solicitation. Thank you, U.S. government, for laying that out so clearly for us.
To all the rules in supervising women, add just one more. Act quickly. Never let a situation get underway. Remember, Joe, we couldn't have won this without the help of the women in this plant.
And there you have it. Follow these simple steps, and pretty soon you'll have your women spam-flamming torpids just like the men. Am I right, guys? Someday in my future, somebody's gonna come back to this video, and they're gonna chop it to bits, and they're gonna make me seem like the most sexist person of all time. Next time you see a woman, make sure to tell her very simply, slowly, so she can understand, that she needs to subscribe to Josh Deek. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video or live stream. And remember, go out there and be productive. Know what it's like to put in the time. Don't take any time off. Work is for the strong.